It is opening day to start the 2024 Major League Baseball season on this Thursday on the early line. And when it comes to the early line, we can do a pick six on anything. It originated in football season well before my time on this show with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Used to be known as the Tummy. Now it is the pick six. Hey, now that is a throwback. And we've done a pick six for the NCAA tournament in the last week. Now we do a pick six for this Major League Baseball season before it gets underway, a futures forecast, our World Series champion, an MVP selection, a Cy Young pick as well, a divisional winner, a win total that we like, and a prop bet from the season-long perspective to keep an eye on throughout all 162 games of a new MLB campaign. Donnie Rightside, the floor is yours. Who is your World Series champion in 2024?
I think there's 7 legitimate contenders to win the World Series. And it's refreshing to hear that because sometimes, Ben, we take a look at other sports, particularly when we talk about the NBA. It's like, well, the Celtics and the Bucks may be in the East, and then you take a look at the West, it's the Nuggets, and let's just say if maybe a team can get hot like the Phoenix Suns, there's really only 3 to 4 teams. So it's nice to have that parity. But the one thing we don't have is really parity in the numbers overall. And the reason I bring that up is I do think the Dodgers are the best overall team in Major League Baseball, but much different than the NBA, Ben, right? We take a look at the regular season. It does mean a lot in both of these sports, right? You want to jockey for the top positioning, but the game doesn't change in the NBA in the playoffs, right? You want to have 7-game series to let the best team win. That doesn't happen in Major League Baseball. And also in a game of timing, you're giving the best teams like a 5-day break before they run into a team that's been playing all the way through and winning playoff series here. So you saw last year, like the Atlanta Braves the past 2 seasons, the Phillies were able to get by them, not because the Phillies were the best team, just playing the best in the playoffs, which doesn't necessarily happen again in the NBA. So just to get around this, the Dodgers, I do think, are the best team, but I don't like that price point, Ben, at plus 320. Same thing with the Braves. I do think the Braves are a great baseball team and probably number 2 overall in baseball behind the Dodgers. I don't like the plus 450 price. Now, the Astros are quality. The Yankees, yes, the Rangers. I told you I do like them with what they're going to get back in ammunition over the summer with some of their pitchers. And I do think the Baltimore Orioles are fun, but I settled on the Philadelphia Phillies. Pedigree, 1-2 punch, because you have to make the playoffs. I get it. The Phillies are talented. They'll make the playoffs. If you get to the playoffs healthy, Wheeler and Nola as a 1-2 punch are as good as it gets in Major League Baseball. And you have clutch players that can bomb away, as we've seen in the past 2 seasons. Has it equated to a World Series championship? No. They lost in the World Series. They lost in the NLCS. But at a 15-1 price point here, if you make the playoffs and win a series or 2, that ticket turns into money. The reason I bring that up, Ben, is when you try to equate, again, the UConn Huskies in college basketball, there's no hedging opportunities. You just have to have the Dodgers at a plus 320 price to win the World Series for you because you're not getting out of it. That's the opportunity I took with the Phillies. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be able to make some noise and a great ticket at 15-1.
Yeah, I completely agree with your point, DRS, especially when you look at the National League. We looked at the odds earlier, plus 165 for LA, plus 250 for Atlanta, $5.50 drop-off to the Philadelphia Phillies, and then a bigger drop-off from the Phils past that point. Now, I'm going to select the Dodgers because I believe, as you said, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. It is not a great value. It is not a great price. But at the end of the day, I believe the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Is this going to be the longest number we see on Los Angeles all year long? Who's to say? They could struggle at a certain point, but the odds don't expect a struggle in the regular season. Could they fall short in the playoffs, as they have in the past decade plus? Yeah, but throughout the regular season, the Dodgers expected to win around 102 games, 102.5 is their team win total. The Dodgers expected to win the National League West for the 11th season in the previous 12. So I don't know if the price gets longer than what we will see by the time we reach the postseason, and thus I picked the Dodgers. 10 of the last 11 years, they have won the division. 10 of the last 11 years, the Dodgers have been primed to make a World Series run. In those 11 seasons, the 10 they have won the division, the Dodgers have only reached the World Series 3 times. They've only won a single World Series championship. That was in the COVID-shortened year of 2020. If not now, when? With all the investment across the board, adding Shohei Ohtani, adding to your pitching staff, Tyler Glass now the ace, Yoshi Yamamoto is that second spot in the rotation with plenty of other talent behind and some getting healthier in a Dustin May, in a Walker Buehler, making their way back. If not now, when? If it doesn't work this year, it might never work. That is the thought, Donnie, behind the Dodgers at a plus 320 price.
And look, it's I can't argue with that because I start my premise or my argument for the Phillies is not that the Phillies are the best team, it's the best price overall. The Dodgers by far top to bottom, and if things work out for them, a la we don't lose 4 superstar players during the season. And keep in mind with the Dodgers, one of the franchise that truly, Ben, does not care about financial restrictions. So when you come to the trade deadline, if a top pitcher is on the market, the Dodgers will flip prospects to get that top pitcher. You know, it's luxury tax be damned here. It's one ace in the hole that you always have with the Dodgers. If they're running hot and far and away the best team in the National League, Ben, they'll still make that move to go out there and get the best player available on the market. That's what you always have as well, along with that plus 320 price.
It's a really good point as well, DRS. I don't think there's an argument from either the pick perspective or the price perspective on either of our two sides. Now we look at the MVP race. It is correlated to your World Series pick. Who wins that MVP award in the National League?
I'm with Bryce Harper 12-1. Don, he likes the Phillies. It's a homer pick. It's not a homer pick. It's just based on what I think is going to happen and what the return on investment will be. And also, the reason I did pick Bryce Harper is that he has been an MVP the past couple of years. He's been injured the past couple of years coming in and out of spring training. Not going to be the case now. And also, played a lot of first base last year, used to playing first base, hitting the ground running. So if he does get off to a hot start, the sky's the limit. Phillies playing a bandbox ballpark when that temperature is 80 degrees or above in Citizens Bank, it absolutely flies out, and he's protected in that lineup. It's not a singular great player sitting in the lineup that you can pitch around and get to the next guy behind him. He has protection, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, the other guy was debating. Again, price point aligned. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, all fantastic players, MVP worthy, no doubt about it. But I do think they're going to split some of those votes. You see the guy sitting up there at a 5-1 price in Ronald Acuna. He's the perfect storm. Like, Bryce Harper is great. He's going to have his big moments. He's going to hit home runs. He's going to have a lot of RBI. But the one thing that you can't deny, if Acuna is healthy throughout the entirety of the regular season, let's just say Benny plays 160-plus games out of 182. The average, the home runs, the stolen bases, and the great play on defense is something you cannot deny. He's the total package. And I do think it's a pretty good price point at 5-1, but I just went with the longer ticket at 12-1 with the Phillies and sort of that correlation that we were alluding to.
The reigning NL MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., the first player in the history of Major League Baseball to have a 40 home run, 70 stolen base season. It's what he did last year for the Braves. My MVP pick out in the other league, that would be the AL. It's J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, at a 10-1 number, 5th best price. Much like the Dodgers' prices in the National League, either team or individual, there's a lot of love when you look right now at Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, 5-1, 7-1. So I go back a little bit to Julio Rodriguez, who has exploded onto the scene in MLB, an all-star both of his years in the bigs, the American League Rookie of the Year 2 years ago in 2022. And last year he played 155 games. 275 was the batting average, okay, but 32 home runs and 103 RBIs. Both of those numbers growing from his rookie campaign. I believe in the Mariners. I think the Mariners have one of the best rotations in the American League. And this is a narrative award where if the pitching staff in Seattle is good and Julio Rodriguez leads the M's to their just second playoff appearance in the last 2+ decades in Major League Baseball, he will be there front and center. Julio Rodriguez at a 10-1 number to win the American League MVP. Now, Cy Young Award, DRS, for taking value prices in your other two picks so far. You look at the favorite to win the National League Cy Young. That's Spencer Strider. How come?
Yeah, it makes some sense here for me. Think about this 2022 season, unbelievable ERA. Rose a little bit last year, but the one thing we do know, again, it's about wins that you put up, which used to be in the past, hey, how many wins you're going to get? That means you're going to be the Cy Young. But we more look towards metrics, which are based on power pitchers and power arms, and Strider has that. If you want strikeouts, you came to the right place with Spencer Strider. You want wins? Sure, he's going to accumulate those as well. But a power pitcher, last year, if we take a look at some of those statistics, that ERA above a 3.5, I don't expect that this year. If he's healthy and on point, he's an innings eater, which last year approached close to 200 innings pitched. If he can do the same thing this year, sure, he'll go toe-to-toes with guys like Zach Wheeler, who are always dependable in Philadelphia. But again, maybe you get those bonus points by playing on a slightly better team in Atlanta, and you have one of those teams that might win 100 games, and he's the price point that you're going to want to take. Even though he's a in this market here, he's too damn impressive to pass up at that number, even though it is low. He's the most dominant pitcher for me in the National League. I think he gets it done this year. Snell got it last year. I think he gets it this year.
The Phil Zach Wheeler second best price at 9-1. When you look at Spencer Strider, he is half the field and then some to get to his number at plus 380. The Cy Young Award market was weird last year. Garrett Cole won it in the American League. The Yankees didn't sniff the postseason. Blake Snell won it in the National League. The Padres were not in the playoffs as well. Interesting because normally individual success is tied to team success in narrative-based awards. Not the case a year ago. So I look at Tariq Skubal for the Detroit Tigers, the ace for that Tigers staff at 10-1, who last year only made 15 starts, only in 80 innings of work a season ago, but had 102 strikeouts in that span. And the reason I highlight Skubal, DRS, is because I wanted to talk about the Tigers a little bit. I believe there should be some optimism in the Motor City. I think they're an under-the-radar team in a very up-in-the-air American League Central. You saw A.J. Hinch is the favorite to win Manager of the Year around MLB. If Tariq Skubal is good this year, the Tigers could make a run in that division, and it would be led by the ace of that staff, who has only improved. 5.63 ERA his opening year in the bigs. Last year, 2.80. I think we see more improvement and maybe a contender in that Cy Young market in the American League.
Ace Filthy, you're looking for a strikeout pitcher. He's that type of guy, and sometimes you're taking a look at that next leap. And also, I like the fact that you went to the American League, because talking about it, we know Strider's really good. Wheeler's really good. There's a couple big-name pitchers left in the National League. Now you come over to the American League, and Corbin Burns is a great pitcher, but Corbin Burns isn't the old guys, the Verlanders on the market and the Jacob deGroms of the Texas Rangers that were getting all those feels for the past couple of years. I like where you're going with this one because it adds some intrigue here on a young pitcher, not necessarily on a great baseball team.
The AL Central, DRS, is your focus for your divisional winner. Let's fly through here. Give me your division pick, your win total that you like, and the season-long prop that catches your eye.
Yeah, take a look at the Twins there in the AL Central. As you said, that division is up for grabs. I think it's a nice price point, even though you're paying a premium at a minus 130 price as opposed to a plus money price here. I just think they're better than the rest of the teams in that division. Also, if we're going to take a look at the win total, go with the Padres at 83.5. Everybody's forgetting about them because a lot of teams really improving out there in the NL West, but you're also getting a discount on that price point of 83.5. That probably would be higher if you were looking around and the teams weren't so good in that division. I do think the San Diego Padres are a legitimate threat this year. And if we're going to take a prop, how about this? Fernando Tatis over 27.5 steals. Not home runs here. We're going to go steals. You take a look at Major League Baseball, the adaptation here of, or the invention of the bigger base path, which allows players to steal bases easily. He'll be on the move. He got it last year. I think he'll get it again this year. I'll take him to get around 30 stolen bases.
Of course, healthy, not serving a suspension. That should be big for the boys in San Diego. My pick to win a division, the Chicago Cubs. Optimism on the north side in Wrigley Field. 2-1 number, second best price to win the National League Central. Is there an explanation why I have Kansas City over 73.5? Not so much. The American League Central up in the air. Craig Mish told us that was his best bet. I bet it. It's one of the few win totals that I have. And Pete Alonso, over 41.5 home runs this year. He had 46 a season ago, 53 in his opening year in the bigs. As Tom Vecchio said, it's a contract year for the man known as Polar Bear Pete. I think he goes over 41.5 dingers this year. Who is going to win a World Series? That was the question for you, the public. We do it up next here on the Early Line.